And that's special about the Tudor, I think. Even though they belong to Rolex, they can act differently.
It's still not as vintage as this one with the rivets on the side.
Yeah, you cannot always wear the same watch. If you have a big collection.
If you have a lot of money they pay you, then you should wear the same watch. But I think watch collecting in the watch industry is not always rational.
Hey guys, my colleague Balázs and me, we are back to talk about watches today. But first of all, thank you for watching our first video, which was about the Rolex Datejust. And thanks for the nice and helpful feedback. Yeah, we are back to talk about another watch today.
Another Rolex?
Another Rolex, but not too far from Rolex.
Right.
We have the Tudor Heritage Black Bay on the table. Actually, not only one.
A few of them.
A few of them.
From different years.
Yeah. So I think we should start with the history, like we did last time, and then we're gonna talk you through the different references.
So the history of the brand.
The history of the brand and the connection maybe to Rolex. That's why we have a Rolex here.
Ah, I see now.
That's the reason.
Okay.
So in 1926, Wilster founded Tudor because he wanted to have a more affordable option. So he came up with this brand. And first, the first models, the first Tudor models, they look quite different, and most of them were rectangular, and they had the Tudor writing on the dial. But other than that, it was a Rolex. So they did not even change the crown logo on the crown sometimes. So it has the same case, same crown, and they also shared the bracelet. But what they did not share and what made the watch cheaper or more affordable was the movement. So they used ETA movements, or at the beginning not ETA but different movements. Not in-house Rolex movements.
So a Bosch movements produced by someone else for them.
Right. And so they could sell the Tudor for a cheaper price. So yeah, Tudor and Rolex share the same heritage or history. And Tudor is also known for the sub, for the Tudor sub with the snowflake hands.
Sure.
With the blue bezel. It's really cool. So I would say after the sub in the 50s, 60s, 70s, the brand was a bit, maybe you can say, forgotten for a while. Not in focus. But that changed. Now we jump a bit in time, of course, but that changed in 2012 with the launch of the new model line, the Tudor Heritage Black Bay, with the burgundy one. Yeah. The one we have here on the table. And this was, when Tudor changed not only his image and model line, but also they had some changes in the company.
Right. I mean,
before
exactly.
the CEO.
I mean, what's worth probably mentioning in terms of the Black Bay is that the Black Bay was not the first heritage model, but it was obviously the most successful. It has proven to be the most successful, but I think it's towards the end of the 2000s when Tudor hired Felipe Peverelli as the CEO and Davide Cerato as a head of design, or I might know his official role wrong, but he was responsible for the design, and these two gentlemen were the reason basically that Tudor is where it is today, at least in the beginning, because it was their cooperation and Davide's design that actually brought out heritage models, one in 2010 and then one in 2011, but the biggest one is definitely the third one, which is the Black Bay in 2012, when this
came out. So let's talk about this one,
Well, this one is the first one, as we said. This one had the old style logo, the rose, Tudor rose logo, and it has the smiling, so-called smiling dial with the words or the text self-winding.
It's the writing.
Yeah, it's the writing above the 6, which is not straight, but it's in a curvage. It has the big crown, which obviously doesn't have the Rolex logo anymore. It has the Tudor crown, and it's a no crown guard, which was the same style as they had in the 50s. ETA movement, 2824.
Like it's a workhorse.
It's pretty bulletproof. Snowflake hands, and it's a nice watch. It's a robust watch. It's pretty thick. It's pretty heavy, but not too bad.
The diameter is?
Diameter is 41.
41.
it comes in a nice steel bracelet and the diving bezel, the unidirectional diving bezel. It was a great, it still is a great sports watch. It was affordable, especially compared to Rolex. And I don't know if it was a conscious decision that after 2012, when this watch came out, they did not release a new Black Bay until 2014. So they left it out for an extra year before they dropped the next one in 2014, and that was the Black Bay Blue, which had the blue bezel. And then in 2015, you had the Black Bay Black, which was basically the similar watch, but with the black bezel.
Yeah, the biggest change was in 2015 the introduction of their first own movement, the MT 5602, I think, is the movement. So that changed the whole game, I would say, for Tudor.
Yeah.
Because now the people who said, okay, it's a nice watch, but it has no in-house movement, which was a big concern for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were happy then when they came out with the
they added the
movement.
in-house movement, but they also changed minor things. I mean, if you can see the two watches, they don't really, to the naked eye, they don't really look too different. You have to really go into the details to see that some minor things were changed. Obviously, the logo they changed from the rose to the shield logo. They changed the writing to straight writing, added the official certified chronometer because the in-house movement is chronometer certified. So there's no smiling dial anymore. You get straight lines. The case is similar, the bezel is similar, the crown is similar. So not much changed unless we want to talk about maybe the thickness of the two watches.
It's quite surprising for me that the in-house movement is thicker than the ETA movement.
Yeah.
Not sure why that's the case, but
me either. But you can see the case back sticks
out
more.
4.5, but 6.5 millimeters, I think, the in-house movement. So it's bulkier. It sits higher on the wrist.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, if you used to this size, you probably will be used to this size as well. But it is a bit different, and not to mention that it has a new style bracelet, which I really like. It's the riveted.
What do you like about it?
I liked it because it's a vintage watch, right? I mean, the look. It's a vintage-inspired watch, and the new bracelet, even though this also kind of looks like an old oyster bracelet, it's still not as vintage as this one with the rivets on the side. So, you know, like the old style bracelets for Rolex and Tudor, they had the rivets, and each and every link was connected through a rivet. And this design, this strap or the bracelet design, brings back this 50s, 60s rivets, and I find them pretty cool, even though there's no rivets anymore. This is more of a design thing. It's
a bit funny because here they added some vintage vibe with the rivets, but they took away the rose logo, for example.
With the logo they removed it, right. Yeah. Absolutely. But I think this is the cool thing, that you kind of mix and match. Some features are gone, some features are remain, some features are brought in instead.
I was a big fan of the rose logo.
Yeah, the rose logo is definitely more vintage.
I wish they had kept.
I'm not sure if you could put the riveted bracelet on the old watch. That could be cool. So the burgundy, the re-edition or changed upgraded version of the 2012 one was in 2016.
And then they stopped producing the ETA one.
So they only produced this for 4 years.
Yeah, so that's why at first when they stopped producing it, it was more sought after or popular. But that's always the case when they stop producing one watch, the collectors like it.
I mean, it's a lower production number. It was only done for 4 years. This has been going on for 3 years, so God knows what's going to happen next year. If they keep on producing, then it already will have a longer run than the previous one had.
I think there was even a time when the older one with the ETA movement, so the not in-house movement, was more expensive than the new one with the in-house movement, which is kind of a funny thing.
Yeah, I think watch collecting in the watch industry is not always rational. Or most of the time, it's when it comes to old models and vintage models.
Especially Rolex and Tudor.
Yeah, it's not always rational.
So what came after the 79230, after 2016, after this reference?
Well, in 2016 they had the bronze that they released at the same
okay,
year.
in the same year. Okay.
Right, they released the bronze one, which had a 43 millimeter case, so it was a bigger case. And they had the Black Bay 36, which was a Datejust size. And they had the Black Bay Dark, which was a black dial, black bezel, PVD coated steel black case watch. So that was like super, super black. And then we move on to this baby right here, 2017. Well, I mean, this one speaks for itself.
Two-tone.
It's two-tone, or as Tudor calls it, S&G, steel and gold.
Wasn't it the first two-tone Black Bay? It was.
I would say yes. This was the first, not the last.
Yeah, not the last.
Definitely the first. And an upgraded movement.
MT5612 with date.
With the date, right?
The date,
Yeah.
which is one of the biggest changes, except from
Exactly.
of course, obviously the
case.
two-tone.
Yeah.
Yeah. The case size is the same, 41 millimeters.
Yes, but these ones have no date, and this was the first one that had a date.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At the 3 o'clock position.
Right. No Cyclops as you would have on the Rolex, and they also had a Black Bay 41. And previous year in 2016 they had the 36. Now they had it in 41. So it's again, as you said, smooth bezel. So not a sports watch, but a big dress watch, if you will, in 41 millimeter. So they had quite a lot, and I think the biggest news at the time was the chronograph with the in-house chronograph movement, but also this one sold pretty well and
advertised by
our
friend David Beckham.
David Beckham in his lovely denim shirt. I'm not even sure if he was the best friend of the brand, because he was constantly seen wearing super expensive Rolex Daytonas while he was still
Wimbledon. There's this famous
picture
of him wearing.
It's the same brand, right? I mean, it's the same company, but
you cannot always wear the same watch. If you have a big collection.
If you have a lot of money that they pay you, then you should wear the same watch. But yeah, but he's a cool guy, and I think the watch really was a great fit to his style.
Yeah, I think
he's more of a style than his sports career anymore. Now we talk about him as a style icon.
And that's special about Tudor, I think. Even though they belong to Rolex, they can act differently. Also in advertising, they are a bit more free, I would say.
Yeah.
In terms of how they promote their products, maybe also more fashion related.
Yeah, I think Rolex customers can be very old school, or at least Rolex is very careful when it comes to how to change and what to change. With Tudor, obviously, they can be more playful. Yeah, exactly. They came
bold,
out.
Maybe
the first watch they came out had a red bezel.
Yeah.
So you never see Rolex Submariner coming out with a red bezel. But yeah, so this was 2017. And then we came to 2018. So last year at Basel World, everybody was talking about the GMT, the Pepsi-esque bezel. The blue and red bezel. I think it probably had the biggest buzz since the first one came out in 2012. So the industry really loved it, customers really loved it. They flew off the shelves. So I think that was a good watch. But they also had a refurbished version of the steel and gold with the gold dial, which looked pretty much the same, but the dial was different. They did the Black Bay in 32.
32 is a uncommon size.
It's the Lady Gaga size. It's
32.
a lady size, or a very small man size, or kid size if you want to buy your 12-year-old son a Tudor to grow into. But I guess all jokes aside, I guess it's for mostly for the ladies. It was the same as the 36 and as the 41, steel smooth bezel. And there was another one based on the 7924 vintage Tudor.
From 58.
That came out in 1958.
A hint.
So exactly, that was a watch from 1958. So we had the Tudor Black Bay 58, which sadly we don't have here. Or do we?
We don't have it.
Oh.
Surprise, surprise.
Okay, so we have here.
We have it with box. So
a light should come out when you open the box.
And the sound.
And the sound. And
really
it
nice
looks
watch.
very similar to the previous ones, but immediately you recognize something.
I would say the size. It's 39 millimeters, so a more variable size for many people. Because some had the concern that the watch is too bulky, wears too high on the wrist,
Sure.
and the 41 millimeters are too big for some people.
Sure.
So they came up with they listened to the community, and they took action with this watch, which I think is quite a cool signal that the brand listens to what the people are saying, and they use the feedback and create another watch based on that feedback. I'm not sure if this was the only reason.
Probably not, but
it's
a nice marketing story.
It's a nice marketing
and
story.
it's a cool watch.
Yeah, definitely. And the 39 millimeter is a great size.
Yeah, 39 I think is the size where if you have a bigger wrist, you can still sport it. But if you have a smaller wrist, it still doesn't look too big on you, too bulky on you. So it's kind of the sweet spot for most people.
Yeah. Like the vintage APs,
like
Jumbo.
Like the Jumbo was 39, or it's 39.
Yeah.
And
it's a popular size.
It's a great watch. It's finally not a color, not black, not blue, not dark, not bright white, gold, whatever. So it's a cool name, it's a cool watch. It's a bit different than all of these other models, but also very similar. You have the same style dial, the same hands, obviously the snowflake like each and every Black Bay had. The case shape is the same. The bracelet is the same with a minor difference, I think.
The proportions, it's tapered.
Yeah.
You can see the difference. I think the difference is
here.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
You can see it's smaller, tapered.
It almost looks like a man's and boys watch, but it really isn't. It's a cool watch.
If you have the two next to each other.
It
does not look too thin on the wrist.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think you get a great watch with the in-house movement. A great diver,
which is chronometer certified.
Chronometer certified.
Yeah.
With Rolex expertise. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And one interesting thing, which is one of the flagship watches of 2018, and there's no date. But people often say, why the date window is, ruining the look at the 3 or the 4 or the 5 and whatever. There's no date. I mean, I really don't mind. I think I like watches without the date more often than I like watches with the date, because I think without the date is just like a clean and simple look. I don't mind the date, but for this one...
If you compare these two, I think the symmetry of the dial, it's much...
Yeah, because the indexes are large.
Yeah,
if you look at the large straight indexes, and here you only have 2.
Without the date.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure why they put the date.
Maybe David Beckham wanted it.
So, Balázs, you know that I would pick the 58, and you would pick...
The sub.
Sure?
Well, I would go with... This is tempting because it's an early one. This is tempting because it has in-house movement as riveted bracelets. Even if we change the bracelet to the vintage one, to the early one, sorry, I might still go with this one from 2016, simply because of the looks. Even though I hate the logo change, but I love the in-house movement and the chronometer movement, so I might go with the new one.
So, Balázs, now that we know which watch you would pick, the Burgundy Black Bay, it's time to ask you guys, what watch would you pick? What's your favorite Black Bay or Tudor in general? And do you have any experience with a Tudor watch? Do you own one? Let us know in the comments below. I bet that many of you guys have
58.
or want to have the 58.
Absolutely.
But you can prove me wrong, of
Prove
course.
him wrong.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, please.
Absolutely.
Hit the bell if you want to get a notification whenever a new video is up.
When is a new video up?
Pretty soon.
Okay. So, hit the bell.
Hit the bell. And thank you for watching. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun. Thank you.
And have a nice day. Enjoy your watches.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.